Okay, I think we can get started. What do you think, Jack? You with me?
Ha! Amazing. Yes, let's get started. I was sitting there trying to put the poll out. I'm typing a tweet, and I was like, "Don't call on me. Don't call on me."
Of course,
Called
that's
on me,
teamwork, right? We're so
dude.
well
We're
coordinated.
aligned. Yeah, this is perfect.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today on Friday, May 5th for the dotSWOOSH Community Space Episode 5. Once again, I'm your host, Final Ryan. I am joined by Jack. Unfortunately, Dennis is not with us. He's busy taking care of some other business this afternoon. He's with us in spirit. He's probably going to be listening in later on. We love you, Dennis. Hope you can join us the next time. But yes, so we are going to get started again. This is the dotSWOOSH community space for Twitter. This is a community space run by the community. We are not officially affiliated with Nike or dotSWOOSH, but we are true believers in Web3 NFTs, and we are so excited and really excited for what Nike has done so far with dotSWOOSH and what they're going to be doing in the future. So we like to take this opportunity to use this platform to speak with other dotSWOOSH and Web3 / NFT enthusiasts who are all excited for what Nike is doing in this space, and try to get a better read on how everyone's feeling, and to share some information as best we can, especially for the upcoming Our Force One release. So before we get going again, too, we just want to give a couple shout outs. Thanks for everyone for joining us so far. Alts, nice to see you. Johnny, Boo, Jam, House, Bobito, Nate, David Chen, nice to see you too. I'm not sure if you're having difficulty right now. I'm going to send you an invite as well to come up and speak. I know you tried to come up last time. There was some technical difficulties. It's all good. We'll just play it by ear. This is pretty casual. Again, we just want to kind of get everyone kind of level set and ready for next week. So, Jack, there was something you wanted to kind of share too. This was something that I've been following as well. The Our Swoosh initiative. This is incredible. I gotta give a shout out to Julian, aka Juju JB. One of really the most talented creators in the artifact ecosystem. I mean, you've probably seen a lot of his work already. You know, kind of modding and getting all these clones fitted with some new gear. So, Jack, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, man, absolutely. Thanks for highlighting Julian on the space today. So, Juju has been an original, clone creator since day one. He's put out so much cool stuff. Him and Dom Jordan have done a lot of really cool things, and their current challenge to this entire ecosystem is an Our Swoosh challenge. It's Our Swoosh Challenge 1. The hashtag is OS Challenge 1, and they're they're asking people to basically create a skin on the artifact Nike Genesis Dunk Crypto Kick silhouette. That is a cross branded, cross blended, collaborative artifact and Nike digital sneaker that dropped about a year ago. And they have the files on the Our Swoosh website. They have a link to the Google Drive so that anyone can download the file and then start to Photoshop it or sketch on it or however you want to edit it. Really, they also have some pretty cool prizes. Like they're giving away a skin vial, which if you don't know what a skin vial is, that will be the piece that actually connects to the Genesis Crypto Kick Dunk and then changes the way it looks. Um, they're also giving away a flower blade, which is I think it's a POAP kind of thing for people who went to the Gasai event or Geisa event over in Japan It's a Murakami flower with some artifact blades on it. I think it looks like a futuristic sun kind of thing. And, we saw team members rocking those as chains, which was pretty cool. I don't think it's forgeable, not confirmed anyway, but it's still a cool piece of kind of artifact, Takashi Murakami history. And then third place is $50 in Ethereum, which who doesn't want that? So I think it's worth really everyone's time if you have any kind of digital creative skills whatsoever. Even if you don't, check out the file, download Paint, start sketching, have some fun with it because you never really know.
Yeah, no, it's really, I gotta say, I mean, it was really thanks to you, Jack, and some other people kind of, you kind of welcomed me even before I actually was a clone. I was early into the dotSWOOSH program too. And I mean, off the bat, like Julian and those guys, and I mean, people like Johnny, it's so inspiring, honestly, to kind of see like how quickly they can kind of like cook things up, right? It's like, you give them these files, you give them these assets, and it's really, that's the one thing that's been so encouraging to me about the artifact community, and I see a lot of that kind of echoed into what dotSWOOSH is doing, right? And I love that we're encouraged to kind of like take these assets and kind of throw our own flavor on that. And I've been following the entries so far, and there's been a lot of really good ones. So if you haven't had a chance to and put in an entry yet, I highly recommend you do so. I mean, even myself, like not even a month ago, I never even considered working in Blender, right? And I think that's something that kind of happened to a lot of us, especially if you're familiar with Artifact and being able to use kind of the 3D files and the CloneX assets. And yeah, I mean, it's so funny because I kind of want to talk about the before we continue, and I know this has probably been talked about ad nauseum in Web3 for the last I would say couple of weeks, but I think it's still kind of important to touch on. Um, but again, obviously, we might look a little biased. We're both clones up on stage, and there's a lot of clone and artifact holders in the audience as well. But it's been kind of it's been incredible, but to me, not personally surprising to see kind of Nike going so and Artifact going so hard with kind of the exposure in the last couple of weeks, right? I mean, I can't even tell you how much FOMO I had just kind of watching everyone experience Gesai in real time, and I gotta give shout outs to Dre, Sir Snapback, and the Artifact team, Cass, all the guys who went out there and live streamed it. I mean, oh man, I was looking up tickets. I'm not even gonna lie, just to kind of see if I could go. But the interesting thing was too, I talked to a lot of people who weren't necessarily CloneX holders, but just kind of maybe like art fans or Murakami fans, like adjacent, whatever, and they really had a fantastic experience as well too, right? And we always have this conversation about we're going to onboard the masses and how do we do that. And I think having events like that, especially in real life, to that scale, it goes a long way in kind of improving the exposure, and I guess kind of an entryway to even have a discussion about Web3. And you can even see something similar happen, even because I know here we tend to kind of like live and breathe on Twitter, but even a lot of you have pointed out, this with especially with the upcoming Forge for the Artifact Air Force Ones. There's been some discussion, in the dotSWOOSH Instagram about, what are these digital assets and why should I care? And it's really kind of encouraging to see that a lot of people, especially Web3 natives, have kind of taken it upon themselves to, help educate people because A lot of times, even now in 2023, sometimes there's somewhat of a like negative connotation associated with this space. And I'm always a firm believer that if you're still here, if you're still active, you're still participating at this time, for better or worse, you kind of act as an ambassador for this space. Whatever your goals here are, I think you can kind of just, it's not that you have to lecture people on what this is, but it's a good opportunity to let them know that there are players like Nike, that are very extremely serious about expanding their reach into space and for lack of a better term, onboarding the masses. And I think they're doing something just that with this upcoming Air Force One release, right? So let's just kind of break down what's happened so far. A couple of weeks back, we all received, well, not all of us, but over 100,000 of us received the initial OF1 airdrop, right? That happened on April 18th. And so there was a total of four editions of posters that were airdropped to your swoosh.nike account, right? There was the Joined Forces, the People's Champ, the Epic Soul, and the Game On. Jack, did you got an airdrop, right?
Yes, because I participated in the Your Force One challenge. So anyone who participated in the Your Force One challenge was guaranteed a poster airdrop, which allows the access for the Our Force One private mint or pre-access on May 8th here, which we didn't know that at the time of participating, but it was
Mm-hmm.
just such a cool opportunity, and it's so dope that like Nike and dotSWOOSH, they went back to support the community, to support the active creators that decided to participate in this challenge that just kind of hopped up or popped up on Instagram. So super excited. But yes, I do have a poster, and I believe strongly that is why. Because dude, even with 33% chance, probably wouldn't have hit, just the way my luck works with random draws. But participating in contests, I'm all for that. So I love to see that they put that best foot forward. They kind of set that precedent too. It's like I would bet participation on every drop that goes forward or every contest that goes forward will have a higher participation amount, simply because of you did it once, maybe they do it again. Even if they don't
Yeah.
do it again,
Mm-hmm.
it's still worth entering, I feel like.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think honestly, I kind of talked about this on the last space, but this is something we kind of pointed out, right? Because I think the dotSWOOSH team and Nike understands that not everyone kind of has the same skill set when it comes to creation and creativity. The bottom line, and something that they continue to emphasize, was you simply should participate, right? Participate by interacting with the sneakers app, attending the swoosh sessions online. Yeah, and again, the entries, right? The entries on Instagram for the Your First One challenge, right? Because one of the requirements was you did have to have a dotSWOOSH account at the time, and you did have to share it, and your account had to be public, right? So my line of thinking even back then was this would be kind of like an easy, like there might be a reward here simply by participating, right? And I honestly think that's an aspect of that swoosh that's going to continue. It might not necessarily be in the same manner, um, but yeah. So that's definitely that's how I received um, access as well too. As far as I know, was because of being able to participate in the Air Force One challenge.
Well, and Ryan,
Mhm.
we actually have one of the winners of the Your Force One challenge in the space. I mean, is now the time to bring up the Sir David Chain?
Yes, I've actually been trying to invite him up to speak. Let's see if we can get him up. Dre, I saw you. I saw you tried to come up. I don't know if you had to drop down, but yeah, if anyone wants to come up and come speak, share your thoughts, any questions or concerns, we like to give everyone an opportunity to come up and speak. And see Dre just joined us. Before we continue, so let's just kind of go over some more things about what's going to happen next week, right? So, like Jack said, there's going to be two waves of access, right? So starting on Monday, that's on May 8th. That'll be the first access. That is starts officially at 9 a.m. PST or 12 p.m. EST, and that will continue until May 9th at 11:59 PST. So if you have an airdrop in your dotSWOOSH account, you'll be able to get either the classic remix or new wave box. And again, just a reminder that there is not going to be any requirements to connect any sort of wallet or use crypto. The only ways to obtain this is you're going to have to pay via credit card or debit card, and the drop will happen directly on the dotSWOOSH website. So please keep that in mind. Make sure you're following all of the official dotSWOOSH social media accounts. Again, I think a lot of people who maybe this is their first encounter with NFTs or Web3, unfortunately, that means there's more opportunities for scams. So we just want to kind of continue to emphasize that, like make sure you're following all of the official accounts. And we always myself, Jack, Dre, even David, who's on stage with us, we're always sharing information uh, from the official accounts. Yeah. So, Dre, how are you? Good afternoon.
GM is still 11:20 here in the great sunny LA. So we're
Indeed.
still morning it up. I'm good, man. I'm space hopping. Just got out of another space, sending up space, and now I'm in the space with you guys. I know I had to make sure that I wouldn't miss this one. You already know this is a fan favorite of my own. So yeah, man, things are good. I just wanted to say this too. They are having dotSWOOSH is having the release on Monday, May 8th, and they said that it's while supplies last. So the people who got the poster who are able to mint early should, because if you don't and you miss it, then you just miss it. And that's one thing that they pushed across. And I don't know if a lot of people caught that message. So I just want to remind everyone who's here.
No, yeah, thanks for calling that out, Dre. Yeah, so actually, to kind of expand on that, so if there is any supply left over from the first access, so the access is essentially limited to the 106,000 ish um, uh, airdrops, right? So you're allocated one for each airdrop that you have in in your account. If anything's left over, and kind of banking on because I want to go crazy on the general sale too. General access will begin 2 days later on May 10th, and that will be at the same time. So 9 a.m. PST, 12 p.m. EST. And the price, again, is $19.82, which is kind of mind blowing. And I'm really excited about that. Um, Dre, I did kind of want to, you've shared a lot already about your experience in Japan. I mean, hopefully, one, like you're not still suffering from too much jet lag, but can you just kind of give us a quick firsthand account? I was just telling everyone that like I was seriously just staring at my Google flights, considering flying out to Tokyo just for this. But I mean, I gotta give you guys an incredible amount of props and flowers for really holding it down for Artifact and hosting the Artifact team and Takashi Murakami. I mean, and the level of production that you guys bring, like is just, I mean, it speaks for itself for what we're trying to do with, especially with Artifact. But that's another story for another time. But Dre, yeah, can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, man, it was amazing, honestly. I've been asking, answering a lot of questions about it, and I can't speak about it enough. It was a definitely a life-altering trip, even more so than just being able to be a part of the Gasai event. That was crazy by itself. Watching the Batek team come in and build everything from the ground up, essentially the day before, because the people who were renting out that hall for a previous event had to break it all down, and then reconstruct or construct everything that was needed for the Takashi Murakami artifact event. And they did it all in one day. And even the team, the Batek team, they came in with such like swag, man. It was crazy. Everybody was dressed in black, but it wasn't like you just had on like a black t-shirt and some chinos from H&M. Like everybody had some type of personality who were working with that team and setting everything up. So that kind of added its own flavor to the foundation of the entire event. And it was just amazing to watch it happen from ground up. So yeah, I can't say enough because the way that they set it up, and I said this to the founders during the live stream, and this is something I'm gonna continuously say because I think this is a message that we should be pushing as a community. This artifact Clonex project is not just an NFT project. It's being proven even more so now than ever that we're watching the construction of a luxury brand, and this is how it should be treated thus far. So a lot of the people who attach themselves to the idea of having an NFT project, they usually have that instant gratification that they're looking for with the association of that project.
Yeah.
This isn't that. I was talking to Chris before I left Tokyo, and he said that like people always look for the now, now, now. And he's like, we're moving in silence and building such incredible things just to erupt out of nowhere, like a volcano. He's like, we always love to um, under promise and over deliver, and we will forever stick to that motive. So that's just something I'm going to remind everybody who's in this space, because like I said, anytime I jump into a space, I'm gonna be pushing this narrative because that's just the truth. So, and that should be more evident now than ever than what we saw at the Gasai event, if you did watch the live stream. So yeah, man, it was pretty much amazing, to be honest, to say the least.
No, yeah, appreciate the context and the insight. And yeah, I mean it's something I remember when I saw that they posted the the 3D ad from Shinjuku, and I was like, that's already the mic drop or right there. Like sometimes I get frustrated, you know, with kind of the narrative that kind of gets built out here in Web3. And again, I chalk it up to just kind of not even ignorance, but just lack of awareness and just needing to be educated about kind of, you know, how a company like Nike and you know how they partner with people like Artifact and you know just how they build things out, how those timelines take, you know, how these things take time, how they need to really incubate and be thoughtful about the execution because you know a lot they only have one shot at it, right? They only have one shot, the one shot to make a good first impression, you know, and it's like you said, it's like it's an eruption, it's a wave, and we're, I mean, come on, like the LeBron thing just a couple of days ago, it's like people were scrambling to kind of change the narrative again, which I mean, we've kind of seen them switch up in 4K to be perfectly honest, and that's fine. You know, you're everyone's allowed to kind of change change their idea, you know, change their opinions. I mean, but that's what happens when you actually learn. And but that's what's encouraging to me, right? It's because you know, people at the end of the day, when you're presented, when you're able to execute at such a high level, then people can't, they have to take notice, right? It's just something that comes with being able to, you know, just execute. And this is just the beginning. I mean, like, look, we're like next Monday. I think we're kind of I think we're kind of like underestimating how big of a deal next week is, simply because of, I mean, there's 100,000 of these, right? There's, I mean, they're priced at $20 each. This is what it really means to kind of. I mean, look, your dotSWOOSH account is directly tied to your Nike account. Your Nike account is tied to your, to your sneakers app. Like, it's all coming together. Yeah, I'm getting excited. We have a couple more people on stage. Yeah, the other Mr. Compound from Bad Take. How are you? Good afternoon.
What's up, guys?
Yo.
I walked right into a great conversation, just purely education, right? Like, all of us can be ambassadors to the space. Like, what you guys are doing here with the dotSWOOSH community spaces is awesome. Focus on education and kind of spreading what we all know what's going on here, right? Like, we all understand. But this one little picture with LeBron holding or wearing a shoe has allowed the avenues of questioning to open up, right? Like, people are now going, "Hey, what is that? Hey, what is dotSWOOSH doing? What's Artifact doing?" Like, we never faded that and we understood that. But it's a good week, man. It's good to not. It's good to celebrate it, man, and not uh, not put any hate on the people who were doubting us. Just open arms, man. Accept them over, educate them, teach them, right? Because before they were ignorance to what was going on here, and now we can just educate, dude. So shout out to you guys for doing these spaces, man.
Oh
Caught him
yeah,
in
I appreciate.
4K, Brady. I love how you said that. I got hyped. Like, yeah, you damn right we did.
Got him.
Yeah, I mean, but that's all that needs to be said, because I don't know, what are you supposed to say? What are you supposed to say when LeBron James is wearing Artifact Air Force Ones at the beginning of probably? I mean, okay, I let me just stop there.
Gray says,
I'm gonna
"Let them sleep. Let them
Yeah, I'm
sleep."
gonna. I don't
Let
want
him
to talk
sleep.
sideways.
Yo, that shit speaks for itself. It's like you said. It's like, what do you say? You say nothing. I mean, that speaks for itself, and it speaks volumes. It's taste making, it's culture creating, it's everything that we're in this project doing together. And I think that it's so important. Like you said, Von Ryan a minute ago. Artifact came out of the gate, and it was innovation hyperdrive, and now they're on this like execution train, and they've proved to be quite flawless. And whilst they are operating on their own timeline, we got to give them that, right? Like, you got to give them that. And that's super rad. I mean, you got to be a little bit patient. You got to have that trust. And whilst that sort of dematerialized a little bit at one point in time, they saw it, they knew it, they course corrected, they pivoted, and everything that we've seen since has been just super flawless execution wise. And a lot of the things that we sort of, I mean, even our hopes and dreams, were something that got realized whenever King James was rocking those shoes. It was like, people were like, "Oh, the seating, like, how's the seating going to get done? Who's going to get them? Whatever. Like, how are they even going to do this?" And Zap was, of course, like, legendary. Just wait for it, because he fucking
Exactly.
knew, man. And like, and the craziest thing about that is like, Braun picked him, right. Like, he probably got seated the entire set. And he like looked through them all, and he was like, which ones of these do I, are my shit, which ones are my vibes? And he picked up those Genesis, just so happened to be the Genesis pair with the Black Hole Black. And man, yeah, he rocked the shit out of those motherfuckers. And I mean, obviously, like, it blew all of our minds. It blew the normies' minds. Like, everyone's DM started blowing up. All the sneakerheads and connoisseurs were like, whoa, 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 who's this? How do you get this? And that's it. Dre talks about that formula quite a bit. And Artifact is not ignorant to it. And we
Yeah,
know that.
for sure, for sure. Because guess what, guys?
I poke bears.
I'm sorry. no shit, no shade or slander to Dylan, but I don't know why I had to get that clip before today's show. Jack, what's up, man?
Well, I just think it's great that, you know, we can highlight these recent wins of the Artifact team, and like I kind of want to connect it back to how Nike proper has learned from Artifact and how they're taking these lessons learned and they're incorporating them into dotSWOOSH, and they're actually rolling it out to the masses at scale, you know, to the tune of 300,000 custodial wallets being set up to bring people into this space, which is so amazingly special in and of its own. And then how they went about the Your Force One challenge, that whole like experience, it was just kind of really special. And then they actually allowed, you know, the artists who won that, the independents, the creatives, to do a collaborative drop with Nike proper on the dotSWOOSH platform, with one of the first digital sneaker collaborative drops. And we got David on stage with us. Finally, he had to update the Twitter app, and now we're rocking and rolling. There was about 10 different connections that failed. We finally got him, and I'd love to hear just kind of what went through your mind, my friend, as you entered that contest.
That was quite a. I didn't expect that segue to happen right there. That was masterful. I gotta applaud that first and foremost. Cheers, thank you. No, I guess let me say this. I knew I had a very good odds to win. I prepared a lot, and this quote about luck being, you know, preparation and opportunity coming together, I think that is very true for what my journey started off as. You know, I'd been researching dotSWOOSH. I'd been researching Nike and what they were doing with Nike Virtual Studios. I saw the Jasmine post about the dotSWOOSH contest entry, and I was like, I'm gonna win this, or I'm gonna try to win this for sure, and definitely improve my odds to win. So it was it's been a whirlwind ever since.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jack.
I'm curious too, you know, what did that collaboration look like with Nike after you passed that first stage as being one of the final four to make it to that stage? You know, what did that building process look like? And to be honest, your shoe looks dope, and if I pull it, you already know it's getting printed or mounted on the wall some way, shape, or form. That's a one of one for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. That's very kind. So yeah, the collaborative process with Nike, I think once we knew that we were the final four through email, it was a pretty quick process after that. I think in a span of about 4 or 5 weeks, we had 3 or 4 kind of full-on meetings with a group of Nike Virtual Studios team. Part of that team would be Bryce Wong. He's the designer that they pulled from Nike SB. So he's working a lot of their digital creations now. And so, you know, between him and a couple of different internal folk, we sat down over a Zoom call. You know, they had some templated structures, some documents, some side profile stuff that they wanted us to take a look at, you know, find our best medium to communicate our ideas over to them. I will say I have no familiarity as to kind of what the journey was like for the other 3. I think each of us kind of had our own individual process with Nike up until, you know, they got a chance to meet up in Portland. So yeah, I mean, I think for me specifically, Photoshop is like the back of my hand. And so being given a bunch of PNGs and PSD files, it's really easy for me to come back at them with a lot of really intricate details and ideas. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. Yeah.
And if anyone in the audience is curious what David's design looks like, it's pinned up top on the far left, also the one away from the far left, in case you just want a couple different looks at it or a couple different ways to get to it. David, I was also curious, you know, do you have a history designing sneakers, designing silhouettes, customizing? Like, is that an industry that you grew up as a part of, or is this world brand new to you?
No, completely brand new. And it's been fascinating to see how much depth and just fantastic community artwork exists out there. And even further, going through a lot of the Air Force One journey, it was really fascinating for me. Like, I don't actually have a lot of familiarity with Nike Dunks. And so to be able to see how many designs actually are manifest, like the ones with like the invisible panels going throughout the shoe, I thought that was just cool from a Photoshop perspective. But to see a lot of those panels had actually been done before was like, oh, well, damn, like that's not original. That's been done, but it was, it's cool to always have a riff on it. But for me, no, Photoshop is a hobby that I've had since I was a teenager. I'm not a professional designer by any means. I work for Alienware, for Dell Computers, on the marketing side. And so I work with a lot of creative agencies, and it helps me in my professional career to be familiar with Photoshop as well, just so I can, open the right files, understand how to do, edits for most common people. But for me personally, I grew up as a kid, just kind of, I photoshopped, or I pirated Photoshop when I was probably 13 years old. And since then, it's been a fundamental tool in my life. Got to learn Lightroom, Premiere after that. You were speaking earlier, I think definitely tools like Blender, Unreal Engine, those are tools of, theoretically, those are tools of the future. I'm trying to get down into some of that myself. I'm curious what like machine and learning and AI and text to command can do as far as simplifying some of that on-ramp process for folks. If I can take my 3D model and just talk to an application and say, turn this blue, turn this purple, turn this, cement, that would be sick. So yeah, I think my shoe very much celebrates that. The tools of creation, there's old school creation, there's modern creation. And I think a lot of us are embarking on the journey right now of what future creation looks like.
Yeah,
Take it, Ryan.
yeah, I had a quick question about that, because I know, when we started to connect, I understand you kind of do a lot of photography, as one of your hobbies.
Yep.
But like, did this experience kind of, getting to work with, people like Bryce Wong? That's pretty incredible, right? Like, Nike SB, getting to visit Nike headquarters, look through the archives. I was crying tears of joy / jealousy just seeing you guys get to experience that, and it looks so incredible. But like, what is like? Do you like has this kind of like sparked a new kind of like drive to continue to create, or like what do you see for yourself, kind of like moving forward, beyond like the Air Force One?
Yeah, I definitely. So, even prior to dotSWOOSH launching, I had been dabbling with just the idea of doing like mid-journey sneaker renders, and in the past, pull up different sneaker ways and play around with my own colorways. I think, there's a lot of folks in the community that go deep into that work, and way more talented artists than I put out a lot of great shoes in that regard. And so, I think there's an opportunity to continue to create more, and especially on the back, on the platform of dotSWOOSH, there's this idea that we'll be hopefully given the tools and the support and the platform through Nike to be able to create and trade and sell, and hopefully sustain ourselves in that type of way. As someone who comes from gaming and tech, like my proof in the pudding really is seeing the Fortnite execution of the Jordan shoe and some of the other Nike shoes. Those sell for 20,000 V-bucks a pop, and that's demonstration already right there of if you get the right people in the room, get the right contracts in place, you can bring one of these shoes to life to millions of kids out there, and they'll buy it. And there's, for some kids, the first pair of Jordans they may own is a $20 pair of digital shoes that they'll own forever, versus the $150 pair. To what you were saying earlier, like, as I'm going out there and talking about this project and this shoe, to the mainstream audience, I would say, it's more likely that your kid's going to be able to wear my shoe in Fortnite quicker than either of us are going to be able to wear my shoe in person. And that's a really different way of thinking. But that's exciting.
Well, and kind of building on that part too, David, it's like, one of the pieces of utility per se that's called out on the dotSWOOSH community profile that we all have is partnering video games and 3D files. And it's like the way that we can all bring a 3D file into Blender, which is a free software, and play around with it, customize it, build on top of the digital collectible that we have already. Like, that's the most exciting part of this entire space, is getting the unique opportunity to customize and co-create with an ecosystem. And it's like, when we find out where we can use the Our Force ones with partnering video games, what video games are they partnering with? Where can we rock these shoes? What do the shoes do? Do they have traits? Do they XYZ? Do they actually make you run faster and jump higher, kind of thing? It's like, this whole thing, it's wild, man. And you had said that you come from a gaming background. If you had to pick your top video game, the one you enjoy most, I know it's a tough question, what would you say it is and why?
And I think that's definitely difficult. I would say right now, the one that I've spent the most, I guess the two that I spent the most time on, I think I'm constantly just going to play League of Legends. It's a game of lifetime mastery. It's super nerdy, but like I equate it to golf. It's such a global game. There's so much depth. There's going to be so much that you can always learn and get better at. But then another one more recently, I think, is Destiny 2. I've grinded so many hours in Destiny 2 on PC. I think that's also a game so much about colorways, shaders, customization, textures, reflection, materials. And imagine if you had the opportunity to like really go nutty with some of that. And there's so many gaming colorways that are immediately obvious to gamers that you can pull in into this dotSWOOSH stuff. And I think at the end of the day, that's what I'm most excited about, is if you look at typical Nike partners, co-creators, they all probably come from stick and ball sports. They come from apparel, fashion, etc. Like, this is, I think for me, the first time, they're really embracing the idea of a like creative first influencer to come through. Someone that can borrow from a rich history of something that's just on the complete spectrum opposite, and see what stories we can tell through Nike in that way. So that's super dope. And I'm curious and excited to be part of that.
It's funny that you bring that up, right? Because I think one thing as a video game enjoyer for many years, because I'm an old guy, is this kind of idea that of the personal avatar, right? And it's something that I think that translates and resonates with a lot of participants in Web3, right? Because a lot of our profile pictures, they have traits that we kind of resonate, or we really associate with. And it's going to be very interesting because you brought up like League of Legends. I'm a fighting game player enthusiast myself, right? So I'm talking about Street Fighter, Tekken, that sort of thing. And again, it's still kind of like 3D assets. And when all this happened, and I was looking at what Jack was mentioning about the 3D files and in-game like usability, I was like, bro, if I could have Ryu wearing some Air Force Ones, like not some like jank, like I'm talking about some official Nikes in Street Fighter 6, which is coming out soon. I don't know, it just seems kind of like the possibilities are endless, right? And it's really interesting to get your perspective from someone in the computer / gaming industry / someone who's an enthusiast yourself.
Yeah, I think what I would really quickly say, as far as I know, it's the first time that Nike is giving out a 3D file like this to the community. I don't know to what fidelity it is, as far as like how close it gets to the patent and whether or not people can then start doing insane things with it. But I think what's exciting is like once that 3D file is out for different folks' respective designs, it's almost an arms race to see who can do the most badass shit with that file. There's different people who come from different disciplines and backgrounds that have different means. And so, if I'm someone who already, for example, works at like a 3D studio and I get my own shoe or buy a shoe, I could take my file, plug it into all sorts of interesting places. And I mean, like, for me personally, I actually, in my line of work, like, I work with creative agencies who build in Fortnite Creative, who build in Unreal. It really would be a strategic decision to say, hey, let's do something with my shoe design. It's probably a glaring, huge conflict of interest. TBD, I think that's the unknown, and certainly something for all of us to explore. But like, that's the arms race for what this does in the hands of the community.
Yeah, good point. Go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that video game integration with digital collectibles really unlocks the next layer of individuality and connection with people who play the video games, people who design the content that goes into the video games. That unlocks, 50% more people are going to be interested in these specific video games because of the digital assets that they're able to integrate into them, the level of customization, the level of personalization that really unlocks for everyone, whether you're picking up Microsoft Paint for the first time or you're a Photoshop expert, like you said earlier, David, it's on the back of your hand. We have another Photoshop expert on the stage right now, actually. Johnny Kicks is a Photoshop mastermind and a sneaker designer for I don't even know how long, but the man's a myth and a legend. And I introduce Sir Johnny Kicks.
What's up, Johnny?
Yeah, always. No, I'm enjoying the conversation, Dave. It's good to hear from you. Honestly, it's good to hear the backstory and kind of where you come from. It's dope. But what you just pointed on, right? It's like Artifact has been telling us since day one, learn 3D, right? It was for this exact purpose, right? As like it gets integrated, right? That was all my entire purpose of designing all these things. Yes, it's for my own personal use, but it's like I needed to build out a lineage before anybody else did, right? I knew it was coming. I know it's still coming, right? It's still not even here yet. I think this is what's so cool is over the next few years as the transitions, guys like myself who have already designed hundreds of Artifact shoes and literally thousands of Nike shoes already. It's like I could just pull from my lineage, right? Or they're seeing the portfolios building, right? Nike's been watching us and studying us and learning every aspect of the Artifact ecosystem, seeing the creators, seeing who's pushing it. I knew this from day one, right? Zaptio, Ben, Clegg, they told us, learn 3D. It might be beneficial for you to learn, right? They weren't going to tell you flat out what their plan was, but as we see it rolling out with dotSWOOSH and everything else, yeah, it's coming to the forefront. And now all they have to do is pick one of my 500 designs I've already done, right? And so I think with that, it's really dope to see Nike pushing this initiative to be able to actually not have you design the shoe, but then be your creative director, right? Actually have you learn what it is to be a designer, right? So many people, they'll throw a colorway on it and say they're a designer when it's so far from what that really is. It's like, what's your point of view? What's the story you're trying to tell? What are the colors and the materials that you're using? Why are you using them? Right. I think this is where it's Nike is actually helping and Artifact is actually helping you become a creative director. Right. When you're working in 3D, you're doing the whole scene setup, right? You're doing the lighting, you're doing the cameras, you're doing the directing. I mean, everything is on you. Right. As a creative director for so many brands, like this is what brands are looking for like a creative vision. Right. And the fact that they're actually educating you and putting the tools in place for you actually to become independent creative directors and then actually be able to share in profits, like what David had the opportunity to do with this Our Force One thing. Super sick, right? Coming from the custom world, seeing obviously working on Jordans and Nikes for a living, to be able to actually share in a profit and have the respect within the brand to be able to actually like release something coincidingly and then actually earn royalties. Yeah, it's dream come true shit right there, right? Zaptio lived his dream. He got acquired, and now he's been able to actually give guys like myself an opportunity to do the same thing that he just had to just did, right? So it's just super cool to see. It's like we're not there yet, right? Obviously, David's the first example, and we're getting there. But knowing that it'll onboard everybody else, it's...
That's what's so... Sorry, Johnny. I don't know if I talked over you there, man.
Nope, you're good.
Okay, cool. Well, that's what's so cool about this whole space is that is a way that Nike learned from Artifact and that acquisition to then connect the dots. So what's so special about this little interaction on stage right now is we got, Johnny Kicks, OG sneaker designer, CloneX, day one, mint, 18 months plus kind of thing, who's been waiting for this moment. And then David, you came in with the Your Force One challenge and you won it, which is fucking special, man. It's amazing. And it's this kind of connection that allows the independent creators of our time to get official collaborations with Nike proper and to boost this entire ecosystem. This is everyone's dreams in action as they're rolling it out at mass, at scale. And it just gets me excited about the future. Yo, Ryan, just a housekeeping item. I will have to leave in like 2 to 3 minutes, just so you know. But keep going, all that.
We don't want to kind of like keep everyone for too long. I know it's Friday afternoon, so we do appreciate everyone spending at least part of your time with us. I mean, this has been so valuable and educational for myself as well. I truly appreciate everyone who continues to share. David, I did have a question. So, like, what was kind of your familiarity or exposure to like NFTs and Web3 before the Air Force One thing, and what kind of has changed in your perception of it, or what do you think you were surprised to learn now that you've kind of interacted with kind of like Web3 as a whole so far?
Yeah. So I would say my recent, I'm familiar with the space. I mean, I've been just kind of dollar cost averaging on different coins since like 2017. I have bought into a couple projects in the past, nothing too specific. Like I've bought the Stapleverse release, got the Crypto Kicks IRL, a big fan of that stone colorway. So I'm looking forward to when that ship's coming up shortly here. And then I've, been a part of some stuff like Pixelmon, which I think I just FOMO'd into it based on a friend. So I'm not a whole lot of different projects, and definitely have just mostly sat idly by and kind of observed from the sidelines so far. Have paid attention to a lot of the utility that different, I guess the tier one programs are bringing, as far as like Bored Apes and Yuga Labs and things like that. Certainly have been paying attention to what Artifact is doing with CloneX and all the recent Artifact Air Force One forging releases. Those are beautiful, by the way. And I mean, I definitely see those as they're paving the bleeding edge of what we hope dotSWOOSH is inevitably going to become, right? And so, definitely familiar with the space and have been an observer for a while, but not deep.
Not degenning.
No.
Okay, fair. That's fair. But I mean, wow, Pixelmon. I mean, you're. I mean, I think you're legit just for that one alone. Yeah. No, that's such a small world, because I mean, I used to actually work with the Stapleverse team as one of their ambassadors.
Okay.
It's funny our paths never really crossed, but no, I mean, that's really enlightening, and thanks for sharing that.
To answer your question really quickly about Nike,
sure.
I think definitely, I think we're all cognizant that when Nike comes to play, they are taking on this mantle of being kind of that playbook writing brand on how to bring it to the masses, how to make it not only kind of understandable to the mainstream, but even like pleasant, in its wrapper. And so it's been really interesting just to see how not only transparent the NBS team has been about, tackling head on a lot of the like murky and questionable areas as far as airdrops and NFT releases. But they've also, I think as a company, and definitely you see this in the Portland headquarters, like they're a company that fundamentally in their DNA are ingrained to pay attention to the details and be very mindful about storytelling. And that's why I'm really excited about this being on kind of their train per se, as we're going towards that kind of mainstream awareness, is like compared to all these other institutional tier one, NFT projects and groups that are out there and the teams that they've assembled, like for the Nike team, it's in their blood to really excel at what makes these types of projects stand out from the crowd?
I could not have said it any better myself. Yeah, I mean, that's it in a nutshell. That's why, again, like the discourse in this space in the last couple of weeks has just been kind of puzzling to me, and it just been so kind of like, just I don't know. Uh, Again, it's about people learning and getting educated about what the possibilities are when an entity like Nike gets involved. I mean, look, they have Web3 natives on their team. Shout outs to Dichotomy who's listening right now. I mean, you guys have supported us, and you've already said yourself in many spaces that you try to listen. You're listening. You're engaging with the community, and to me, like I've experienced that firsthand, and getting to talk to people like yourself, David, and with various members of the NVS team, it's all just been extremely encouraging, and I'm just really at the very beginning. Like I can't even like Johnny says, right? Like he's a day one artifact holder. He has the skill set, and now Nike Artifact, hopefully others will join them in giving us the platform to really take creators to the next level. So with that, we are at the hour. We are going to wrap things up. We want to thank, first of all, everyone who came to join us and listen. We really appreciate everyone in the audience. David, any last words before we end?
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to speak. It's been a long time coming. Super excited to be able to chat with a lot of the folks here. Monday, May 8th is the pre-mint, and then the 10th is the general access sale. I encourage everyone who has the opportunity to pick one up to, when you left at that 50-50, click on that new wave box. Like, what I will say is there's designs that have never existed, have never had their story told. So go with the new wave box. Like, there's so much potential opportunity there. The classic, ones are nice, but that's a finite story. That's go new wave for sure.
Yo, I just want to jump in and say thank you, David. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I got a dip. I can't be late. It starts right now. The future is now.
And just like that, Jack drops the mic and bounces. But no, David, thank you so much. We really appreciate you sharing your time and your story. And yeah, like we hold these spaces pretty regularly. We'd love to have you, come hop on the stage whenever you want. Come request. These are pretty informal, but we do like to kind of give everyone in the community, a place to speak and to learn more about dotSWOOSH and this upcoming release. Again, make sure you're following. Please follow David. Give him a follow. Make sure you are following all the dotSWOOSH official Twitter account. You will get the most up-to-date information there. And again, the first access starts this Monday. I have my credit card ready to go. Hopefully, it doesn't get declined because I spent it all on meme coins this week, but it is what it is. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Please have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next time.
I pulled bears.